Welcome everyone to today's webinar. As many of you know, we do webinars a couple of times a month. Generally, the first Wednesday of the month is an overview webinar where our sales team will give a high-level overview of ClubExpress for those people that are either new to ClubExpress or considering an association management system. Sometimes it's just general, and sometimes it's rather targeted, like how are ski clubs using our platform, or a car club, or a chamber of commerce, and to show the way different organizations or different kinds of organizations can use ClubExpress to further their initiatives, to serve their members better and such. And then on the second and fourth Wednesdays, generally, I or Dan or one of the other technical people will do sort of a deep dive into a particular feature. Sometimes maybe something as simple as using the new image editor. It might be about member interests or documents or photos. And today is one of those, called creating additional charges. It was interesting. I was trying to figure out how to name this, because just calling the webinar additional charges sounds like ClubExpress is going to be charging you more for stuff. And no, this is the way that you as a club administrator can set up things that can be charged to members, things that they can buy or things that they must buy, either when they sign up or when they renew or possibly any time. So we'll go through that. And so you usually have a little introduction like this, and then I do a demonstration, and then there's a questions and answers. Well, let's take care of a little bit of housekeeping first. The phones and microphones are muted except for mine and Michelle's. Questions should be entered into the chat window, and Michelle will be monitoring the chat window, and she'll answer questions along the way. And if it's about something that I'm discussing right now, she may say, Alan, we have a question about such and such. Can you show this? And so if it kind of goes with the normal flow, we'll do it that way. If not, we will wait till the end, and then we will revisit the questions and answer the questions so that people that are watching the recording have benefit of the answers. And speaking of recordings, recording of this webinar and all the recordings of the training tutorials are available on the ClubExpress Cool Stuff page. So if you go to clubexpress.com and you click on the Cool Stuff link in the upper right-hand corner, on the left side there are a bunch of tabs, and the bottom tab says Webinars. If you click on Webinars and scroll to that page, you'll see the webinar schedule, and then at the bottom is a list of recently recorded webinars. And if you click on the video tutorials page, similarly, the tutorials are there. And the tutorials are also available on your control panel on the support tab. There's a list of all the video tutorials. So this is really useful if you want to share one of these webinars, the tutorials, with other people in your organization. Perhaps you're trying to ramp somebody up for it. As a matter of fact, I got an email the other day saying, well, we've got a new member manager, and can we get a one-on-one session with this new manager to bring her up to speed? And I said, yeah, we can do that, but you might be better off looking at these tutorials. There's one on the member manager module, and Dan did a webinar about what, as a member manager, you may need to do. So that's from the role perspective rather than the module perspective. And our support people chimed in and said, oh, and by the way, if you want one-on-one, here's what it would cost, in 15-minute increments. And we get this note back saying, the videos answered all of my questions. And so this was just a wonderful nod to the fact that you don't have to keep doing the same material over and over and over again. Let's just point somebody towards discussion. And she was able to get herself started. So I'm very happy about that. Now, if you are using ClubExpress, and particularly if ClubExpress is working very well for you in your organization, we'd like for you to go to clubexpress.com/reviews and click on one of these buttons here and enter a review of ClubExpress into one of these review sites, so other people that are deciding on an association management solution will have the benefit of your experience. Let's talk about additional charges. As I mentioned, this is not additional charges that ClubExpress would charge you for optional modules or optional services or for mailing out invoices or things like that. This is a way of letting you present a list of required or optional charges to your members. Now, this is typically used when members will join or renew. So these additional charges can be shown on a screen, and you can decide whether the additional charges screen is presented and to who it's presented during either the member sign up or the member renewal wizards. And we'll go through that in a little bit. Now, there are some charges that you want to make available year round. So people can go to the optional additional charges choice on their profile to, in effect, purchase one or more additional items. It's a little different than the storefront, where you've actually got a real store set up. But this is just something that they can go into their profile. And they may want a name badge or refrigerator magnets, or want to donate to a building fund. And so, as I just mentioned, you can also use this sort of as a way of accepting donations. But keep in mind that there is an entire donations module built into ClubExpress, which has tools for accepting both monetary and non-monetary donations, and let you record who donated it, how they did it, a lot of reporting on it. There are, tax reports that are available. So if you're going to really think about donations, you may want to think about using the donations module instead. And not surprisingly, there is a tutorial and a webinar about that. And administrators and coordinators can create and process additional charges for members at any time through the member manager. So these are the things that we're going to demonstrate. We'll go into the additional charges module. We'll look at some of the existing charges for this fictitious balloon club, add a new charge, and discuss things like the status, price, quantity options, whether or not it's required and when, those kinds of options. We'll take a look at configuring the membership sign-up and renewal wizard to show how and when these things are presented during sign-up or renewal. We'll take a look at it from a member perspective to say, okay, I want to just sign up. And we'll notice that the only things that they can, in effect, purchase or accept a charge for at that time are things that are not restricted only to the initial sign-up. Something like an initiation fee that's done at initial sign-up and not available after that. And then we'll take a look at the member manager and show how an administrator can create and process a charge. So let me share my screen. Okay, you should all be seeing the fictitious Northwest Balloon Club that we use for a lot of our demonstrations. Now, this club, just as a reminder, a lot of people have access to this as administrators. So there's typically a lot of sort of messed up data involved. I'll get back to how we show this on a new member sign up in a little bit. But since I'm already logged in as Martin Smith, I'm going to go to the control panel and we'll take a look at the existing charges. So on the control panel, on the People tab, at the bottom of the screen, there is a link for additional charges. You can click the link or the pencil. And this shows the current additional charges. Now, once you enter an additional charge, there is no way to delete a charge. So just be a little careful about what you enter, because these are considered financial instruments, and so you can't just delete them. And in fact, all of these things here, these fly-in badge and things like that, these weren't real fly-in badge. These were just things that people had entered about joining their particular organization. I just renamed them. And you'll see here that there's a column here as to whether or not these are active. So these are all not active. So things that are not active will not appear on the list for people to select. The other thing is whether or not these are adjustable. And so in this particular case, a donation would be adjustable as far as, well, how much of a donation do you want to give? But something like a building fee would be a fixed price. So for an adjustable, this price here is the suggested donation. So we'll take a look at a couple of these things. Let's create a new one. So I'm going to add a charge, and we're just going to call this NWBC, Club Initiation Fee. So this is a one-time fee, joining fee. And I'm going to leave it as inactive for a moment. So now when it comes down to price, well, is this a fixed price or is this an adjustable price? In this case, this would be a fixed price. So let's make it say $50. And if it was adjustable, if it was something like a donation, how much money do you want to contribute to the building fund? We would make it adjustable. You'll see how this plays into the quantity in a moment. So the question is, okay, when is this thing available? Is it available to new members? Meaning during their new membership wizard, does this show up? You say, no, this is not available. So it might be a renewal charge or some sort of a promotion charge. In this case, we might make it optional if it was something else other than an initiation fee. But for a new member, this is going to be required. So when they sign up, we're going to require that they pay this initiation fee. This would be quite separate from their normal dues for the year. So a golf club may have a yearly fee, but you've got a buy-in or initiation fee. So that's the kind of thing that's here. And then for renewals, we'll say, well, this is not available because you would have only paid it once. If there was something that was either optional or required, you'll see that if it made optional, there's a checkbox here that says this is a recurring charge. And what that means is that when the list of items is presented to the member, this item will be on the list and will already be checked. So they don't have to manually check it. It's a way of saying, oh yeah, we really want you to take this this newsletter or this thing during your renewal, but you can uncheck it. So if it's a recurring charge, it just get a check mark on it. The next field has got to do with what's the quantity. So when you're dealing with an initiation fee, not applicable or always one makes sense. If you try to make it adjustable, you could say this was a coffee mug and the price was $10. Well, how many is the minimum quantity to order and how many is the maximum quantity to order? So this makes sense. If it's fixed price, it can have a not applicable or an adjustable quantity. On the other hand, if it was adjustable here, say a donation of some sort, you say, okay, this is the suggested price. And then would always have to be NA because you wouldn't have an adjustable quantity on an adjustable price. So if you try to set both of these to adjustable, you'll always get a message here. Like right now, this is adjustable. It switched this quantity over to NA. And if I change this to adjustable, we're going to get a message at the top that says price and quantity may not both be adjustable. If I choose OK, it says, oh, you want it adjustable here, then this price must be fixed. So whichever one you change, it'll swap the other one. So in this case, we're going to say that this is a $50 fee and it's just a single $50 fee. Then you select an account. You can see there's lots of accounts here. We'll just call this external fees. No, we'll call this membership dues. Because this is a demo club, they've got all sorts of stuff that doesn't make any sense. QuickBooks item name, if you're using QuickBooks, you can tie this to a particular item. And whether or not you need to collect sales tax on it, and this is going to show the list of sales tax items that you have put into the sales tax module. So we can say, no, we're not going to collect sales tax on this. And now I'm also going to make it active. So if I save this, now it becomes active. It goes down at the bottom here. And now I've probably changed the display sequence to say, okay, I'm going to take that one there and move it all the way up to the top of the list. So we do that there, and now I save it. So now it's at the top of the list. And it's active, it's adjustable, no. Something like this building fee, if we look at it, this is also fixed, NA. It's not available to new members, but it's required from renewals. So this is saying every time you renew your membership, you have to pay the building fee for the year or something like that. A name badge would be typically pretty simple. It's fixed, and I would probably make this adjustable. Well, in this case, it was required for new members, and there was always one because you weren't allowed to buy more than one name badge. So that I suppose makes some sense. On the other hand, a coffee mug would be a fixed price of $5. It's optional for new members and renewals, and it's adjustable. You can order from 1 to 5 of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out. Oh, actually, I'm going to do the wizard first. So now if I go to the People tab and scroll down to the Membership Wizard Setup, the Membership Wizard Setup is how you determine what's going to be shown to a member when they either join up or when they renew. And there's two different sort of ways of looking at this. One is when a member is signing up or renewing by themselves, and the other is when an administrator is adding a new member or renewing a new member. So you have here this first column of 2 columns here is about when a new member signs up. And the first column underneath that is when the member does it themselves, and the other is when an administrator does it on behalf of a member. Not when the administrator is signing up themselves. It's the administrator has been handed a piece of paper, said, okay, Joe Smith joined at our last event, and he gave us a check, and we need you to enter him into the system. So, and then the same thing happens here for the 2 columns for the Membership Renewal Wizard, when the member is renewing themselves or when the admin is renewing for a member. And you'll see that some of these things are grayed out. So these things always appear. So over here, the member type screen always appears. So when the new member joins up, they may say, I want an individual membership. But maybe when they renew, they say, okay, I'm going to switch this to a family membership. So they have to have the choice of when they renew, are they renewing to the same type of membership or are they changing their membership type? Everybody's got to sign the privacy agreement at least once when they join originally. Contact information is required during member sign up, and we are presenting it here during the renewal wizard just to let them have another look at it, see if anything needs to be updated. If we've enabled any additional member data, here's where we would decide where the additional member data screen should be presented. So minimally, there's, I think, 4 screens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens. So when a member signs up, minimally, there are 5 screens that get presented. When a member renews, minimally, there are 2 screens, the member type and the summary. And so these other ones are optional. So you decide whether they should be shown and when they should be shown. So again, if somebody had member interests, you could say, okay, I want the member interest screen to be shown for everybody, but you might not want to do it for an admin when an admin is signing up somebody because maybe they don't know the answers to the questions. So you can decide whether to turn these on. Same thing about chapters. Username and password obviously has to be done. And here's additional charges. So you could say, all right, I want to add additional charges when a member signs up, when an administrator signs up for a member, and when a member renews or an administrator renews a member. And then, of course, you have things like the joining agreement. If you have one, you could decide whether or not to use it. So if I save that, I'm going to go through the effort of logging out. Let me log out. And because I'm now logged out, I get a different menu than the member menu. So I'm going to choose Join Now. And it says, okay, if you're already a member, click in here to log in. Well, no. Let's say I am an individual member. And how'd you hear about us? Oh, through a friend. I mentioned that everybody has to go through the privacy screen. And so now I'm just going to type some stuff. Let's make this Schilling. I'm going to be male. And anything with a red dot is required. And so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th Street. And let's make this Brooklyn. And I have no idea what the postal code is for Brooklyn, but we'll try something anyway. And we'll go 11333, I'm guessing. And then email address will be something like something like that. And then we go on to the next screen. Because we said that we have the additional member data field enabled, I want to collect this information about what would you prefer to fly, what's your favorite balloon color. And I also said, well, what are your interests? So I'm interested in rules and education and these couple of things. And the member can go back and change this at any time via their profile screen. And so I need a password. Let's see if I can remember this. Next. Okay, so now we have finally got to the member sign up screen. So because we said this screen is available, and it's interesting that it didn't show up at the top of the list, you'll see that name badge is required and it is checked and cannot be unchecked. It's grayed out, as is the initiation fee. So when a new member signs up, they're required to purchase a name badge and contribute to the initiation fee. But I could also say, oh yeah, but I want a coffee mug and I want 2 of them. And so this will update here. So you can see that we can decide, maybe I want the printed newsletter. And what will happen is it'll total all of these things up. Only these 2 are required during member joining, but the rest of them are optional. So if I go to next, it's going to show we have the membership here, and then we have the name badge, which is required, the initiation fee, which is required, the newsletter, which was optional, and the coffee mug, which was optional, totals it all up for $135, and then we would submit the application. Now, depending on the nature of this particular member type, which was the individual member type, if this is not subject to review, then we would be taken directly to a payment screen. If it is subject to review, an email gets sent out to the member saying, well, thank you for your application. Our board of directors will review it, and we hope to get back to you with information soon. At which point the member is put in as a prospective member, and then some member manager or coordinator will have to go and either approve or decline the application. If the application is approved, then an email is sent out saying, welcome to Northwest Balloon Club. You can log in, and the first thing it will take them to after their password screen is the payment screen so that they can process this payment. And once they have processed the payment, to submitted it by credit card, or once they send in a check and you flag this thing as receiving the check, then they'll be able to log in. But until that point, if they haven't paid their initial membership fee, they can't log in, or they can log in and only pay that fee. So I'm going to cancel this because we don't need this person that doesn't exist joining a membership that doesn't exist. Any questions at this point, Michelle?
There was a question about when you were showing how to add the charge. Ray had asked about how you actually, you were showing the different financial accounts to select, and he wanted to know where you enter the accounts.
Okay, we can do that. So if we look on the control panel, that's under money, right?
Yes.
Okay, so on the financial accounts, they'd be over here, and you would put all of these in, and you will see that financial accounts are all instruments of bank accounts. So they're tied to bank accounts. It's a way of saying this bank account has different things that we're doing in this bank account. We're accepting money for membership, or we're accepting money for donations. But for event registrations, we got a different bank account. And so we want to tie them differently. So it's not just a matter of which bank account, but what instrument within the bank account do you want to use? Do you have Michelle, any other particular uses that people use of financial accounts versus bank accounts?
No, I mean, they really are either linked to the primary bank account, or if somebody has chapters built into their website, you can have financial accounts linked to a specific chapters as opposed to the primary national bank account. So that is an option if people want to do it.
All right. Now, you'll also notice we're sitting here on the Money tab. Before we got to the additional charges by going to the People tab. So in many of the cases, there's several ways to get there from here. So this is a money thing, so it's put in the setup section of the money tab, but it's also a people thing, things that you're going to make available on someone's profile. So now let's take a look at a profile. So I'm logged in as Martin, and turns out I could have been logged in as any member. If I go to my profile, and over here there is, in the financial and historical data section, there's a thing for optional additional charges. So say I wanted to buy a couple more coffee mugs and stuff. If I'm looking at the fees from my profile, interesting, why is this shouldn't be here, this initiation fee. Let me just go back here, make sure that I configured this properly. So let's go back to additional charges, go to the initiation fee. Oh, I'll say under renewal, it's not available. That's important. So let's see what happens if I do that, and now come in here. I go to profiles, and if I go to optional additional charges, now it does not appear, because that's saying it's really only required once you have joined, but not after that. All right, so it's not an optional thing that you can pay your initiation fee again. So by saying that it is not available, it does not show up on this screen, but it will show up on that new member sign up. So here I can say, okay, I want another name badge. So I can get another name badge, or I want a coffee mug. So let's order a name badge, a coffee mug, and a magnet. And if I proceed to payment, there's a bunch of things that it turns out that Martin has ordered but not yet paid for. So we could actually say, I want to pay all this stuff. And then normally they would pay by a credit card or send in a check. Because this is a demo site, we did not enable credit cards because we really don't want people attempting to buy things here. And because I am an administrator, I can process this payment through a lot of different methods, including just forgiving the payment or saying that we received a check. So in this case, I'm going to say, we're just going to forgive this payment because this is a demo and we don't need it. And I'm just going to record the compensation. So now when Martin logs in, Martin doesn't owe any more money. So that's how a member can, in effect, order anything that is available to them year-round, like a coffee mug or whatever. Again, that's different than the storefront, where you could have pictures and have a shopping cart, all that kind of stuff. That's a little different. But the other thing that an administrator can do is, if we go to the control panel and we go to the people tab and we go to the member manager, and let's search for Cho. There's a few people, and we'll see that Jenny currently owes some money. There's a $ next to her name. And if we look at it, there's a couple of charges, a donation, a fee, and an event registration, things like that. What I can do for Jenny is either issue her a credit. Maybe she didn't attend an event and we decided to give her a credit. In this screen here, for anybody, you can click on this and decide if it's a credit. It says the no generating credit will not issue a refund to the user's credit card, but it gives her a credit within the system. And you say, okay, here's the date. It was for services, or it might be a discount, or to resolve a complaint, or something like that, a registration discount. Or maybe somebody registered early and you just they paid full price for the registration, but you want to give them back some money. So that's a way of issuing a credit. But if you decide that this is going to be a charge, for some reason or another, we need to, in effect, put a charge onto someone's account. We can say, this is a charge, and say, okay, what kind of charge is it? Well, one is, it could be a miscellaneous charge, and that's just something that we're going to say, okay, we're going to charge you this because you broke a vase in the in the clubhouse or something like that. But it could be any one of the things that are in that list. So we can say, okay, well, she took a couple of coffee mugs from the table. She took a case of coffee mugs, $50 worth of coffee mugs. So we go case of coffee mugs. And if we save this, and now if I look at Jenny's account, there should be coffee mug here, and the transaction gets done here. So this is the way of you being able to insert a charge into a member's account, and then a member can pay for the account when they pay for anything else. And when they log in, the little $ shows up next to their name, showing that they owe money. And in here, there would be this menu, there would be a payment due. So if I log in as a different user, and if I go to J Cho, if I log in, it says, yes, I'd like to make a payment. And so now it says you got to select at least one transaction. So it could just pay for the coffee mugs, or it could pay, for everything. But this is what the user would see. Similarly, if she went up to her profile and she went to optional additional charges, then she could then, check whatever she's looking for here. Like if she lost her name badge, she can get another name badge, but she can't say, I want 5 name badges. So she could do all of this. And then when she proceeds to payment, now those things are also added to her fee. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show. Let me go log back in as Martin. And now, Michelle, are there any questions in the chat? And if not, we can certainly open it up for people to ask questions on the phone.
Yes, definitely. A question came in from Doug, who wanted to know if these additional charge options were available at the chapter level only, including pending approval.
That's a good question, Michelle. I defer to you.
Yes. Okay. Well, when it comes to additional charges, right now they are created at the club level. So let's say you have a national organization with chapters in regions all over the country, and you happen to be in the Chicago chapter. I can create an additional charge, but I can't say that this additional charge is only something to be selected by people in this chapter. I believe the idea of getting that subgroup functionality in here, like we do in so many other modules, is on our wish list, but at the moment it can't be done. All club members will see anything you put on here, no matter what chapter they're in. And then as far as member sign up, people join the club, and approval of prospective members happens at the club level. So you might be the Chicago chapter administrator, but the club level membership director would be the person that would go into member manager, see that Doug is a prospective member, and approve that person. The chapter admin does not do that at this time. And then there was another question that just came in from Stephanie, who asked that if there were any service charges incurred when paying through this system. So I wasn't really sure exactly what she meant by that, but basically members pay what you charge them for membership, events, etc. Non-members who pay for anything via credit card will pay whatever you're charging them, but if they pay by credit card, they will also pay an additional technology convenience fee.
Is the member paying the fee, or is the club paying the fee?
No, well, we have 2 options. Either, and again, members are not charged the convenience fee, only non-members who pay by credit. Right. So the club or association can decide whether they do want the non-member to pay that extra few dollar fee, or in some cases the club might say, well, we really don't want our non-members to pay anything more than what we charge them, and we can set things up here in support so that the club or association itself will pay those fees on behalf of the non-member.
Other questions?
That is it for now.
So, well, meanwhile, you can take a look. If I come over to YouTube and I come to ClubExpress, you should see that there is a tutorial called Additional Charges. And you can take a look at that. It's only 7 minutes, and it goes through a lot of the same material, just gives you an idea of what's going on. And you can review this or just send it off to other people that may be involved in setting up these additional charges. And I thank you, everyone, for coming, and we'll see you in the next webinar.